Max Verstappen received heavy booing during the F175 event in London, which has aggravated the fan base of the four-time world champion. However, things have now escalated even further, as his father has threatened to boycott future events with Max. This situation could potentially grow even bigger, with both Max and Red Bull unhappy about the way they were treated in London. Could this turn into something more serious? More importantly, can Max escape the hostility he faces in Great Britain? One of the safest assumptions we can make is that Max is not the most loved person in the UK, especially in the motorsport world. Throughout his career, he has battled British drivers for championships. In 2021, it was Lewis Hamilton, while last year, his main competition came from Lando Norris. Additionally, Verstappen has been frequently criticized by the British media, with harsh statements and biased opinions directed at him. This is why, in Brazil last year, when Verstappen won the race under difficult conditions, he questioned why there were no British media representatives present at the press conference. However, the booing in London has taken things to another level. When Verstappen, Christian Horner, and the entire Red Bull team arrived to showcase their car to F1 fans, both those present and those watching from home, loud boos were unmistakably heard. Red Bull was not the only target of negativity at the O2 Arena in London. The FIA was also booed when its logo appeared on the big screen. However, the governing body has taken a defensive stance regarding the booing directed at Max and Christian, describing the fans' behavior as tribalist. An FIA spokesperson stated, "Great rivalries throughout the history of motorsport have contributed to making it such an exciting experience for fans. But what underpins sport at all levels is a culture of respect. As such, it was disappointing to hear the crowd's tribalist reaction to the FIA Formula One world champion, Max Verstappen, and his Red Bull team principal and CEO, Christian Horner, at the F1 launch in London. As part of the FIA's commitment to protecting the integrity of the sport, we are leading a coalition tackling online abuse in sport under the banner of our United Against Online Abuse campaign. We stand with all of our competitors, officials, volunteers, and fans to unite against this growing threat. We urge the sporting community to consider the impact of their actions, both online and offline." While Max may not be particularly affected by this, as he has grown accustomed to hostility from the British media, the escalation to 25,000 people booing him in front of a global audience is significant. This comes after the most successful season of his career, in which he won a championship despite driving what was considered the third fastest car on the grid. Such experiences could influence his mood and stance on the sport. As we know, Max has never been keen on staying in Formula One for as long as some of the greatest athletes have. There is a possibility that he could retire in his early 30s and pursue a different career path. Situations like this only reinforce that mindset. The negative perception of Verstappen in the UK began in 2021 and is unlikely to change as long as he remains in the sport. His recent altercation with George Russell, an incident Verstappen chose not to discuss in depth, has only added fuel to the hostility. This growing tension could escalate further, prompting a stronger reaction from Red Bull's camp. Red Bull is working hard to provide Verstappen with a championship-winning car for the 2025 season, a difficult task given Ferrari and McLaren's progress. This makes it a particularly challenging time for Red Bull engineers and executives. Meanwhile, Jos Verstappen has expressed his frustration over the way his son was treated in London. Although he acknowledges that Max has always been outspoken and direct, traits that have often put him in the negative spotlight, this latest incident may have crossed a line. As a result, Jos has stated that future events similar to the F175 will be boycotted by both himself and Max. Jos Verstappen explained their stance, saying, "At the reception, the setup was reasonable, but I thought it was shameful what happened with Red Bull Racing. Christian Horner was booed, and Max was booed as well. Look, they are there to promote Formula One, and yet they get booed by the public. I don't think that is acceptable. I understand it to some extent. Max is the only one who provokes the British fans and speaks his mind, but this level of disrespect is unacceptable. It was really disappointing. Max has no interest in returning to an event like that, only to be booed by 25,000 people. He also said that if this is what England is like, they won't see him there next year." To make matters worse, Verstappen himself has hinted at his frustration regarding the event.